Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
I really enjoyed listening to you. You guys are really funny. I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for inviting me here today. I was really excited to hear. I'm so happy to know that when our plane landed, that we did not encounter snow because I was worried. I came with the heaviest coat I could find. And I get here and it's 50 degrees last night. And I said, oh well, better safe than sorry. But I absolutely am happy and thrilled to be here and to share some information regarding RSA and some of the programs that we have here. Prior to doing that, I just want to spend a few minutes just sharing with you who I am. You've had an opportunity to read my bio, but as I was reflecting back last night on my own journey and how I ended up here, two things came to my thoughts. One was, what in the world was I thinking? And the other was, this has been an amazing journey for me. I am proud to say that I am obviously serving in the role as the presidential appointee for this particular position in the Obama administration. And I'm also proud to be a vocational rehabilitation consumer. Being from Massachusetts, the one thing that I'm not proud of is the fact that I probably was the worst example of a vocational rehabilitation consumer. And I feel very badly for my counselor. And I repeatedly over the years apologized to him because of my, I guess in the field we call it our maladjustment or just being a double. I have no idea which one it was, probably a combination of both. But it's important because it does define who I am. And my behavior, probably back when I was losing my vision, I'm from a family of 6 siblings, and 4 of which, out of the 6, were losing our vision at the same time due to retinitis pigmentosa. My sister is also deafblind as well, and she's the oldest. And part of our journey in this particular transition for us, being a parent, having vision problems, coming from Massachusetts, the western part of Massachusetts, which was rural, there was no sense really during those days of education for people with disabilities. I was the first individual who was blind in my school system. And it was determined and the decision was made for us that we could not be educated in their particular school system. So decisions were made on our behalf that we would leave the only community that we knew, the family that we knew, and we would go to public school for the blind in the Boston area. And while that was exciting, it was incredibly scary. I think that leaving your community, leaving your family, had its own challenges unto itself. And when you're thinking about being disconnected from your community, as some of the stories that I've heard here this morning, it is incredibly challenging to be in that kind of a position, to be uprooted and to be moved. And then to learn about VR services, which I certainly am eternally grateful for now, but not having that sense of community, not having that sense of culture, in terms of what does that term mean, rehabilitation, and to everyone it probably means something differently. But I think what's most important about the term is that individuals should have that opportunity to experience these services in the best, and certainly the community and the culture in which they are used to receiving it in. And that when you're taken out of that environment and you're expected to understand and expected to know and act in a certain way that you're not accustomed to. My mom just said, you guys were just wild and she said, that's all we were. And she said, you were just nuts, every one of you. And I said, well, that's because you treated us as if we were normal, which is actually good. And my mom said that she treated us as if we were normal because the information that she had received was that we should not be treated as normal. We should be institutionalized. We should be put away. We should be given the types of services in an institutional setting, not in a community setting, which we all know today that sets the stage, for isolation, depression, certainly demotivation, and it certainly usually doesn't equal going to work and being successful. And I think that one of the areas of experience that I certainly have learned from over the years is that individuals with disabilities who are often receiving their services, sometimes in very different environments, very different cultures, different settings, different communities, that one of the things that we often forget about is how and what is the most appropriate, the most effective, the least restrictive environment where individuals can thrive and receive the services. And I think that most of us agree today, and we know from experience that that is in the community. In the community that people are most appropriate to be in, that they're most comfortable in, where they can receive the highest level of support from their families, from their community, the people that they know, the populations that they grew up with. And I want to say today that my being here today as commissioner does reflect the priorities that I have as an RSA commissioner. And I wanted to just share a few of those with you because before I do that, I also want to acknowledge Tom Finch, and I know that you all have had a great relationship with him. And he has been incredibly instrumental and supportive of me coming into this position and helping to understand the services and the great work and the great commitment that goes on under this program, the 121 Project, and the commitment that you all have. So I want to salute all of you. You all have been doing a great job this morning recognizing each other. But who better to invest in your community than you? Who are the experts? Who looks up to the people who provide the services to this population? And it's going to be you. It's not coming from an external factor, because most of us know that if you're waiting for that to happen, it won't happen. And I want to say thank you to Tom for being so generous with his time and his willingness to be so committed to this particular project. One of the things that we have been discussing, and we were discussing this actually prior to my coming into my role as commissioner, and we have been discussing how we actually conduct our monitoring process. And as a former commissioner in Massachusetts for a blindness-related agency, I know from firsthand experience what that feels like to go through the monitoring process. And can definitely say to you today that having gone through that I felt that there were issues around some of the areas that we were looking at. But in particular, I really felt very strongly that there was very little opportunity to look at innovation, to look at the partnerships that organizations and agencies have together, because none of us can be successful without each other. And that when I came into this role, I immediately had said, we need to find a way to reflect some of these areas. We have a population of individuals being served who are going to be looking to us as leaders to receive their services, not in the same way that I receive my services, but in a way that they are comfortable with receiving their services during a time when technology has changed how we all operate today. Were it not for technology today, we would not have individuals who would even have the confidence, the skills, and the ability to be engaging in training or work opportunities in this country. We are learning from our transition-aged individuals, regardless of the culture, regardless of the community that they come from. They are much more integrated than they ever were previous to my coming in through the school systems, when transition wasn't even heard of and discussed or more considered, and never mind implemented. We also face a generation of individuals, the baby boomers, who are aging into disability. And they do not receive and do not want to receive their services. We have returning war veterans who are highly skilled, who have been nothing but committed to this country, and who are incredibly committed to continuing their lives in the least restrictive way that